I didn't think I'd ever say this out loud, but the truth is, there's something I've been carrying for a very long time, and if I don't say it now, it will leave with me. My name is Henry Walker, and I'm 92 years old. What I need to tell you isn't advice, and it isn't a lesson. It's the one thing I wish someone had told me before time started closing its hand around my life. I grew up in a small house with thin walls and a lot of noise. Not angry noise, just life happening. Radios playing, people talking over each other, doors opening and closing. I learned early how to listen, but I didn't learn how to speak. I was the kind of boy who waited, who thought there would always be another chance to say what mattered, another day when the timing would feel right. That habit stayed with me longer than I ever expected. I worked hard. That part is true. I showed up, I provided, I kept promises the best way I knew how. I married a good woman, raised children, paid bills, fixed what broke. From the outside, my life probably looked steady, maybe even admirable. Inside, though, there were words I kept folding away, year after year, telling myself I'd open them later. There were moments when I felt them pressing up against my chest. The night my father died and I stood beside his bed, wanting to tell him I understood him now, but settling instead for a quiet nod. The afternoon my wife sat at the kitchen table, tired and trying not to show it, and I almost told her how afraid I was of losing her, but chose silence because I thought strength meant not burdening anyone. The morning my son left home, when I wanted to say I was proud of him in a way that went deeper than a handshake, but the words felt unfamiliar in my mouth. Time has a way of making you believe it's patient. When you're young, it feels like a wide open road. Even in middle age, it still feels forgiving, like you can slow down later and catch up on what you skipped. I believed that for most of my life. I believed the important things could wait until I was less busy, less tired, more certain. What I didn't understand was that time isn't waiting with you, it's moving without asking. One day you notice the house is quieter. The people you thought would always be there start thinning out. Conversations end not because they're finished, but because there's no one left to have them with. My wife died when I was 68. We had been married for 45 years. I loved her, there's no doubt about that. But love, I learned too late, isn't just something you feel. It's something you say while you still can. In the hospital near the end, she looked at me with the same calm eyes she'd always had, and she said, "You don't have to be strong right now." I wanted to tell her how much she had carried me through my life, how often her quiet presence was the reason I kept going, but my voice failed me. I told her I loved her. It was true, but it wasn't the whole truth. After she was gone, I realized how many sentences I had left unfinished. Getting old does something strange to memory. It doesn't erase things the way people think. It sharpens certain moments until they feel like they happened yesterday. I can still see the way my mother stood at the sink every morning, the way my father cleared his throat before saying something difficult, the way my children looked back at me when they were younger, still checking to see if I was watching. What surprises me most now isn't the mistakes I made, but the moments I avoided. The calls I didn't return because I was tired. The apologies I delayed because I didn't want to feel uncomfortable. The gratitude I assumed people already knew. Those are the things that come back to you late at night when the world is quiet and your body won't let you sleep. I used to think regret came from doing the wrong things. Now I know it often comes from not doing the right ones soon enough, from choosing ease over honesty, habit over courage, from believing there would always be time to circle back. As I sit here now, at 92, my days are slower. I measure time in mornings and afternoons instead of years. I don't have many plans left, but I have a lot of clarity. And the clearest thing I see is this. The things that mattered most were never the hardest things to do. They were just the easiest to postpone. If you're listening to this and you still have people in your life you can speak to, tell them what's true. Not perfectly, not dramatically, just honestly. Say the thing you've been rehearsing silently. Ask the question you're afraid of the answer to. Let yourself be seen, even if your voice shakes a little. I'm not afraid of dying. What I'm afraid of is how quiet a life can become when too much is left unsaid. I carried my words for decades and they grew heavier with time. You don't have to do that. You can set them down now while they can still land in someone else's hands. That's what I needed to tell you before I go. Not because I figured everything out, but because I finally understand this one thing. Life doesn't ask you to be fearless. It just asks you to speak while you still have a voice.